Hi, all my beautiful souls. I am Lady Stars of Fire. My real name is Michelle Espinosa, and this is the weekly healing messages for October 8th through the 15th. Wow, what did I just do to my hair? Anyway, from the 8th through the 15th, I am going to start off. Before I go into the astrology, I'll give you a little bit of what I have been given from from spirit guidance, and then the runes, and then go into the astrology. I am given. Took me a little bit of time to come to this. It's really about soul searching. Really, that's what this whole month is going to be about. But I'm given the white stag. Now, for me directly, the white stag has to do with the tree of life as well. It's like another representation of it. And the tree of life has to do with above, below, here in the middle. It has to do with the cycles. You know, the beginning, the end, and returning, basically. And then when we take it to the white stag, it brings us into the power of that, standing in the physical energy of what we can actually see. But I am very much given the white stag and his powerful horns. But what I feel like I'm being given about that really is stand strong and firm in your power. Stand strong and firm in your power. Don't be willing to bend when it doesn't resonate with you soulfully. You need to stand strong in who you are at this time. And it does go with some of the messages that are coming in with astrology this week. I do feel like it's be the leader that only you can be for your own life. Okay? Because, let's face it, if you can't lead your life, do you really think someone else can do it any better? Okay, with that being said, I am given the runes this week, and I feel like it's another circle. Like it's another, just like I said, a circle. I feel with the four of them because I'm given Isa, I'm given, Hagulaz, Ansus, and Othala. And I feel like it's a great big circle from Isa back around to Isa. And let me explain. Isa speaks to us, like I said, this is about that soul searching time, about slowing down, stillness, and mastering self-mastery itself. And it speaks to us directly of retreat and separate. Retreat, separate, and detach from the situation. Don't necessarily leave the situation depending on what it is, but you do need to detach and separate from the situation for that soul searching to really be able to resonate, to really be able to get in. If you're too close to, sometimes when you're too close to what is going on right around you, you miss it. Sometimes you need to step back and get that clarity is what I'm basically being given. Now, next is Hagulaz. And Hagulaz speaks to us of the controlled crisis coming into completion. So this is the crisis that has to finish working itself out. Point blank. The harmony can't be found until the completion is done. So we are speaking of coming into those karmic areas that are going to resonate within our life, more or less. And we're being told in Isa, again, remember, separate, detach, step back, and really view it from the bigger picture. And that brings us to the Othala. Othala is sacred. It's kind of hard to explain. It is home, the way that I see it. But this is your home. This can't be taken away. Point blank. This is your soulfulness, your oneness, your wholeness. And the only way you lose this is if you was deceived enough to give it away. Well, it's about reclaiming it and getting it back. Because I very much am getting that, like, this whole month is Venus is kind of like, well, it's time to unfuck you over. Things that you might have happened to have done to yourself unwillingly, you know, not knowingly, by decisions you've made, have kind of fucked you over somehow. And what I'm really getting this month is, this whole month is about Venus unfucking you over and helping you get right with self again. Point blank. And that's part of what this rune cast is about. Because Othala is speaking to us about the bigger picture. See past the picture on the wall and see the whole damn wall. What is truly going on? Look out the window and see the whole world. See everything that is important to you, not just the small things right in front of you. And look at it on a grand scale. And How is your soulfulness and your oneness going to play into that? Because your home of your soulfulness, the oneness, can't be taken away from you. The sacredness of who you are can't be taken away from you unless you decided to let your soul dull. Unless you decided to let that shine, that luminous diamond shine of who and what you soulfully are. Unless you allowed it to just dull over time. I mean, most of us have. It's not like we meant to. It's not like we ever wanted to. It's just we get carried up. We get caught up in third dimensional life and what we have to deal with. And life goes on, and before you know it, life got in the way of life, and that shine of your soulfulness that was who and what you are, that was so sacred, started to dull a little bit. That's what this month is about unfucking you over, unbeing dull. Stop being dull. We're gonna polish that up and make your shine come back. So we go from Isa to Hagulus to Othala, and then it reminds us, while we are dealing with this energy, it reminds us of Ansus. Ansus is speaking to us. It does speak to us of the mouth and our communication, but it's so much deeper than that. It's about the knowledge and the inspiration that we get and the exchange of views that we get from others. But this also has a very powerful warning, because it can inspire you. Or if you let other people's thinking dominate you, that is exactly what is happening. You want to make sure that you are not letting other people's thinking dominate the way you should be thinking, or what is and is not acceptable in your life. Only you can decide that. And this is what we're getting from Ansus, which leads us right back to Isa in full circle of retreat, separate, and detach so that you can truthfully get the soul searching you need. So Venus can unfuck you over. That's basically what I'm getting. Now, with that being said, let's move into the astrology. We do have a new moon in Libra this week. It was on Monday, the day I'm putting this out. It is taking place in Libra, and let me just tell you, Libra is a lot more powerful than you think it is. This moon is incredibly powerful, even though you may not see the energies that you are setting forth for yourself, for your relationships, with whatever your astrology chart is, whatever house it is. You may not be seeing it in your personal chart yet, the energies that you might be manifesting with this new moon. And you may not see it for a while. I mean, like, even into next year. It may be things that it's going to take a while. I mean, like, until January or something to fully manifest. So it's a very powerful moon right now. And I'm going to come back and explain that in just a minute. But you also have on the 9th, Mercury is moving into Scorpio. Okay, those are your two most powerful signs right now. You've got Libra and Scorpio right next to each other. And I know everybody's still talking about Capricorn, and they're talking about Pluto, and they're talking about Saturn, and yes, that is some powerful energy, because the energy that is coming out of Libra and coming out of Scorpio has everything to do with that Capricorn energy. But the power plays are happening in Scorpio, and they are happening in Libra. Mind you, most people are not going to be speaking to you that the key points of Libra right now have not only Sun and Sirius in it, but it also has Makemake and Haumea in it. And Sirius and the Sun are sitting right on top of Haumea, or this week moves, they're going to be sitting right on top of Haumea. Haumea is your collective consciousness, love. We are talking about energies that are coming so far out in the Kuiper belt that the only way to explain them is you're in dead, cold energy that have been in denial for so long, it's been dormant, that you didn't even know it bothered you. I am being told you may find energies from anywhere from 1982 to 1988. Situations, something significant most likely happened between 1982 and 1988. In your life. It doesn't necessarily have to have been a bad thing, but something that forced change to go through. And that's because at this time, Venus, as it moved through this sign of Scorpio, we're also returning back to that time because Pluto was there and so was Saturn. And Saturn was crossing Pluto. So something forced a death, decay, and destruction to happen in your life, which forced a new beginning. And with that new beginning being forced somewhere between 1982 and 1988, something was forced from a death in a form to a rebirth in a form. But your rules, your walls, and your boundaries took a shift because of Saturn crossing that energy. And somehow within that new beginning, that new rebirthing of whatever died and started new, those rules, walls, and boundaries may not have been set exactly properly in the best form for you. Or maybe they were at that time, but you've grown out of that. And it doesn't serve you anymore. And with your soulfulness right now, Venus is not just talking to you about something like I've been saying from 6... Hi, Neptune. From 6 to 8 years ago. Like I said, something from 6 to 8 years ago will be returning. But this is for those people who are older, and you're going to get that 6 to 8 years ago return, but you're also going to be getting something from like 1982 to 1988, and Spirit keeps giving me 1986, especially 1986. Might be because the situation that took place in my life took place in 1986, but it could be that you had a good relationship with your family. It doesn't necessarily mean that it had to be a bad thing. I was speaking to someone the other day, and what happened to them in 1986 was their grandfather died, and which forced situations or learning or knowledge that they might have got, or love that they might have got from that grandparent that could have helped shape their life, no longer was there. So I'm saying something that took that change in between 1982 and 1986 definitely forced a death and a new rebirth. And you might be finding that some of those rules, walls, and boundaries that were created because of that rebirth actually now have caused insecurities and caused some areas of self-worth, self-value, self-esteem that need to be retweaked because it's no longer serving you in a healthy way, and it's time for Venus to help unfuck you over, and that's exactly what she's doing this month. With that being said, I'm going to go back to that new moon in Libra now, because, all of that was started because I was saying Mercury is moving into Scorpio. Scorpio isn't just powerful because of Venus. No, honey. Or Venus is retrograde. No. Venus is as powerful as she is because she's in retrograde and Jupiter is there. That is where the power is coming in. Don't get that all mistaken. Jupiter is the one that's magnifying this. And Mercury is moving in on the 9th. So the communication is going to become even clearer as it goes through this month. Not just this week, this whole month. Now, as I jump back to that new moon in Libra, Libra's power, like I said, is the key here with the Kuiper belt and the cold, dark energies that have been out there, that have been in denial, that are being brought back up by Venus and by Jupiter, because that's all about abundance and higher knowledge and the magnification itself. So in order to get to that higher knowledge, it has to go all the way out there into those energies and collect it. Okay, which is bringing us into those deeper situations of those relationships. Not just what the relationships are responsible for within our life, but the relationship itself. And how was that relationship? And you have everything you care about, you have a relationship with. You have a relationship with your loved ones, with your family, with your children, with your spouse. But you have a relationship with your working environment. You have a relationship with the environment you live in. You have a relationship with your neighbors. You have a relationship with your money. When you have no money, you know about your relationship with it. Everything that you care about, you have a relationship with. So something about these relationships are all going to be touching base on insecurities, self-worth, self-value, and self-esteem, and how to love yourself better so that you can actually love the world and others better. What is it that you value most? What is it that you're not getting? These are all going to be coming into these relationships, these conversations with these relationships. Because, like I said, Libra has the sun and Ceres in it. It also has make in it, which is like the lotus flower, but it's sitting on top of Haumea, which is your collective consciousness, all the way out there in the Kuiper Belt. So we're going way back in time and bringing up stuff, more or less. Now, like I said, it's the power play of these two houses as they talk to everything. I'm going to give you the positives, though, this week as we dig deep into it. But before I do, also, Ceres, because a lot of people don't talk about Ceres. Ceres is the threefold theory. Ceres is karma. Ceres is too close to home energies. Ceres is nurturing, or shows exactly the lack of the nurturing. It can be part of the problems within the self-worth. And Ceres, I'm promising you, is part of the key here. Okay? Because Ceres is going to be speaking to us of that threefold. It is going to be speaking to us of the karmic. It's going to be speaking to us of, too close to home energies in general, where it becomes uncomfortable. It is the goddess of fertility, rebirth, and nature. She speaks to us of fires and rock. So, grounded power, grounded passion, maybe not necessarily powerful in a positive way sometimes. Sometimes that was grounded fire, passion, that necessarily wasn't working out so well. Like I said, this is about energies of so long ago as well. So, it's also speaks to us of where we've been nurtured properly from our parenting. How are we parenting? Is there nurturing in general being taken care of, as well as how are you nurturing yourself, your own diet, your own health care, and all of this energy. This also is going to deal with child support, child self-worth, and how are they being raised, or how were you raised? All of these energies, eating disorders, all of this could be coming up right now. With that being said, let me give you the positive energies as we move forward, because I was just giving you the depths of some of this. Your positive energies this week is Chiron is trining Scorpio's Jupiter. Again, the power is coming from Jupiter and that Kuiper Belt. It's not just Venus. Venus in retrograde has got the power going on. Yes, but she's getting a lot of that from Jupiter. Jupiter is bringing in the abundance, the knowledge, the understanding from far back in time. I mean, like pulling it out like a magnet and being like, I pulled this shit up and let me just remind you about everything. And you want to stay positive with it, because Jupiter has a way of magnifying everything, for the good or the bad, depending on how you're taking it. Chiron is the wounded healer. It's the gatekeeper of wholeness. So you might be remembering some things, but it's about remembering it in a healing, moving forward way. And releasing it as we move forward, so Venus can do what she's supposed to be doing, because we are still talking about Scorpio, where Venus is in retrograde. Chiron, the wounded healer, the gatekeeper of wholeness, is also talking with that North Node. So the North Node agrees with what is going on with Jupiter here. The North Node wants that creative energy to come forward so that Venus can unfuck you over again. Like I said, Venus can go back and make things better. She's trying to set the soul right so that you can move forward in a much better, healthier way than we have been. And 30-some years, point blank. Now, also, you have Neptune trining Scorpio, but trining Venus directly, and Mercury as Mercury moves in. So, that means you are being given the creative power with Venus to recreate, to change things around. Even though you might be remembering the past, it's helping you learn from the past and re-steer it in a new positive direction. Not down the same road. Not down the same mistakes. It's about creating new from that universal 12th house of that denial of where the healing needs to be made, and bring it into those relationships and create something so much better. Like I said, this new moon in Libra is about finding where things are out of balance, so that you can create balance. So this may take some time to actually manifest. You may not see it until December, January, February. Okay? Now, you also have Pluto sextiling Neptune. It's creative magic on a spiritual level, basically, coming into, your outer community. End of discussion. That's really what that comes down to. Mars, Lilith in the south node is sextiling Jupiter. Again, this is Jupiter reaching his long ass arm all the way back in time and bringing out what needs to be remembered so that these forceful changes can happen again, but in a more positive way than maybe they did the first time. Now, Venus and Mercury in Scorpio are also sextiling Saturn, helping you learn how to recreate these rules, walls, and boundaries from old-fashioned ways that just aren't working anymore. To have the balls to start to reset them as you move forward. These are all positive things. Now, you're going to have I want to call it a grand trine, but the energy really is slightly off. But because of the energy coming from Ceres and coming from Jupiter, I'm still calling it a grand trine. Because that energy coming out of Ceres and that universal 7th house of Libra with the sun illuminating it. Okay? And Haumea there bringing your collective consciousness to you from the past. And then you've got Jupiter magnifying the energy. I'm going to call this a grand trine. Point blank. I don't care. It's Chiron, the wounded healer, speaking to Jupiter and to that north node about point blank giving you the ability to start to maneuver that new direction. It may not be set just yet. It may be something you're working towards or kicking out some stuff or cleansing in general, or clearing out negative old energies, old lower vibrations. But it is moving us forward, and it starts on the 12th, that grand trine does. Or as I call it, a grand trine. That energy is definitely going to be coming through the whole rest of this week. Now, there are challenges, but there's always going to be challenges, honey. That's just life. You have Venus is squaring Mars, Lilith, and the South Node. Here is your key. Do not forget the South Node is always able to be your undoing. You got really good at this crap in your past. Whether it's past life or the past, okay? And in Aquarius, that universal 11th house of friends, goals, memberships, and your outer community, your Mars, your passion, your action, your aggression, your fire, even that sexual flirtatious energy that you just have in general, with Lilith, who's not going to allow anybody to push the warrior around, who's going to not do anything she damn well don't want to do, and the South Node backing that egotistical energy. That's where your key problem is. Your egotistical energy is what's coming out from Mars because of that South Node. You've gotten incredibly good at that area, and that is where it can be working against you right now. And it's squaring Venus and everything Venus is standing for. She's not telling you not to stand up for yourself. Hell no. You are meant to stand up for yourself. You have to stand in your power. But it's about making sure you're standing in your power because it resonates with what you want in life, what you need and what you desire to manifest into your life, not because of egotistical, I ain't gonna put up with your shit reasons. And it's about moving soulfully forward in a larger idea than just the third dimension. Okay? And this is what this is about. We want to stay away from ego's rage because it's not going to help you. It's going to pull you against being good with the community outwardly and showing off, because the showing off is not actually going to work well for you. Okay? At this point, Pluto is squaring Ceres in the sun. Again, Ceres is that karma. Ceres is that threefold theory. Ceres is where you either were nurtured properly or you were not, and where you are nurturing out now, or you are not nurturing out well now. Okay? It is too close to home in general. And Libra speaks to those relationships, and Ceres is going to be magnified by the illumination of the sun. Point blank. And it's speaking with Pluto. So it's a square because you don't want to make the changes. You've gotten comfortable with the way things are, and the change maybe something that's a little little scary. I mean, taking the change and full wholeheartedly believing in the power that is you. That might be a little scary. You're talking about relationships and believing in yourself. Okay? And that illumination. But being able to do it for a soulful reason, not an egotistical reason, for the right reasons. Okay? And that can be a little bit difficult. Chiron is squaring Saturn. The wounded healer, the gatekeeper of wholeness, is trying to tell Saturn where Saturn's being an ass. Trying to tell Saturn where your rules and your walls and your boundaries, that shit ain't working anymore. It's all old school. It's all old news. It doesn't work for you. Why do you keep holding on to it? It's time to reset it. And Chiron is trying to give it the eyes, the illumination it needs to be able to change so that these new things can come forward. But you're fighting going through with the actual changing. This is how Venus is partially coming through Jupiter's energy and trying to unfuck you over with Chiron and with Ceres this month. This is very, very much soul-searching energy. You need to listen to your intuition, listen to your heart, and listen to the Venus that is within. Because she's the only one who can tell you the sensitivity that's good for you or works against you. I said a million times, if you put your hand in a hot oven cooking cookies at 365 degrees and you pull it out and you burn the shit out of your hand, that is Venus saying, that shit hurts, don't do that. And when you love something, like your furry covers, I love my furry blankets, or your candles, I'm looking for something to hold, or, just something that you love. I love my bells. Come on, everybody who knows me knows I have bells on all the time. Something that makes you feel right, that you love, that you want more of, and brings you the ability to have that communication that works good for you, not against you. Venus is the one who makes that work for you. Venus is the one who speaks to those sensitivities and tells you what's good and what isn't. Listen, because she's trying to help you, but you ultimately are the only one who can listen. Also, you have a T-square this week. Uranus is not getting along with Venus and Scorpio. She's not Uranus is fighting. You're standing in your power, standing in your self-worth, standing in being seen for who you are, finding your freedom. There's something about it that's keeping you from moving forward within that truth and ability to believe in self. Okay? Because Venus over here in that relationship is trying to point out what it is, and the North Node is trying to help you understand so you can move forward. But as we approach the end of this week, it's going to turn back into a grand cross again, which means it's a lesson. Okay, and the lesson is, it's turning back into a grand cross, and I'm telling you, it's going to have to do with that Ceres energy. It's going to have to do with that Haumea energy, the collective consciousness with how you was nurtured, how you was not nurtured. Are you nurturing properly? The collective consciousness of all of this within those relationships, because it's going back to talk to Mars. It's going back to talk to Lilith. It's going back to talk to the South Node, along with, again, your Uranus, your independence, your individuality, your uniqueness, your freedom, your self-worth, your self-value, your self-esteem. Scorpios, relationships and what they're responsible for, and the sensitivities of what you do and don't like and what you will and will not accept to be part of your life, along with that North Node of what it is you need to learn. I'm telling you, it's coming back to these energies of ego versus true soulfulness. True soulfulness, not generic soulfulness, honey. True soulfulness. That's what this is getting down to. Sacred, true soulfulness, not generic. Let me be on this week. But I'm only going to kind of work on it, because that's not going to work for us anymore, more or less. And I will give you another key that is here that nobody else is talking about. Libra, that energy that I keep talking about Ceres and Haumea, you see, it's in opposition of Eris in the universal first house. This is a chance to learn to start to get it right for a new setting, again, to help that Chiron energy when it finally comes out of retrograde and starts all over again and starts that new cycle. Because Libra dealing with your collective consciousness, with Sirius, and with your sun that is illuminating in that universal house of relationships, is dead in opposition with Eris. And Eris, my love, is in Aries. She's got the firepower to start a whole new energy, and she's there by herself, and most people aren't going to be talking about it, and this is what most people don't know. She's the goddess of resentment. She's the goddess of revenge. She's the goddess of strife. She deals with trouble, toil, and pain. She's worse than Lilith. Lilith is egotistical, and Lilith won't be pushed around. But Eris is only out to get back at you. So, true soulfulness, not generic soulfulness. Gotta live the ego out. I love you. Bye, everybody.